Hey, it's been about 2 weeks since patch 0.5 launched, and I've been having a lot of fun playing explosive Grenadier Deadeye, so I decided to make a quick video showcasing my setup. If anyone has better advice, please let me know. First of all, why Deadeye instead of Gemling? Deadeye's Ascendancy provides an additional projectile, tailwind for extra evasion and movement speed, and overall feels much smoother to play.
In my opinion, an evasion/energy shield setup offers much better survivability than armor. Right now, I have 2.1k energy shield, 2.4k life, and about 72% evasion.
Gemling does provide +2 to skill levels and increased damage from red support gems, but as you can see from the boss fights and Abyss footage, I already have enough damage to clear all content. At this point, survivability and efficiency matter more than additional damage. That's why I chose Deadeye over Gemling. I don't need the extra damage and would rather keep the defensive benefits of an energy shield/evasion hybrid setup, movement speed that Deadeye provides. Now let's go over the gear setup. First, the weapon. A 950 DPS crossbow with +3 to attack skills. Crossbows remain extremely cheap compared to weapons used by more popular builds. A 700+ DPS siege crossbow with +3 skills can usually be purchased for 2 divine orbs, making it one of the most cost-efficient upgrades available if you are trying the grenade build.
Skill levels are extremely important for grenade builds. Another strong stat on a crossbow is grenades have a chance to activate a second time. The passive tree already provides 15%, and an additional 25% on the weapon brings the total chance up to 40%. That's a stat I may look for in the future. Next up, rings. The main stats are resistances, life, rarity, and flat damage. Rarity isn't mandatory, so more flat damage is always a good alternative. I'm currently sitting at 91% rarity, which is pretty decent. I have mana leech on one of my rings because I was trying to solve the mana issue. I'll talk more about that later. Next up, gloves. Try to get as much flat damage as possible, since Grenadier doesn't really benefit much from attack speed or critical damage. I'm also using Cadigan's Epiphany, which allows you to socket 1 additional jewel in your gloves and is incredibly powerful. I have 37% chaos resistance on my gloves because I used Void Flux on them. It's a new item introduced this season that converts all of your elemental resistances into a single elemental resistance. For boots, I'm using 35% movement speed, life, rarity, double resistances, and of course, a 5% movement speed rune. For the body armor, I have 3.3k evasion and deflection rating. High evasion on the chest piece is important because I'm using Spectral Ward on my amulet, which grants additional energy shield based on my evasion rating. Speaking of the amulet, the ideal setup is a high evasion energy shield base with +2 or +3 to projectile skills. For the helmet, I'm using a high energy shield base with rarity, life, and resistances. A Raven-touched shard lets you instill 1 additional notable skill, which is extremely powerful. Mine has 50% increased attack damage and 30% more stun, but it's very expensive at the moment. Finally, belt and charms. I'm using Headhunter. It's definitely not mandatory for the build, but it makes mapping feel significantly smoother, especially during Abyss encounters where a large number of rare monsters spawn. For charms, I highly recommend using a Silver Charm and a Thawing Charm, as freeze and slow can be very annoying and disruptive while mapping. Lastly, I have Rite of the Passage and Spirit of the Owl. Spirit of the Owl provides energy shield, increased damage, and extra cold damage. It gives me around 500 additional ES, which is quite nice. If Headhunter is outside the budget, just drop the rarity stats on the gloves and rings and pick up more flat damage instead. Some cheap alternatives if Headhunter is outside the budget and more damage is needed are Hyri's Ire and Painter's Servant. Hyri's Ire provides up to 20% of damage gained as extra cold damage, while Painter's Servant also grants extra damage. I'll include both of these items in the budget version of the build. Now let's quickly go over the skills, jewels, and passive tree. I'll have everything linked on the website, so I'll keep this section brief. One thing I want to mention is the support gems for explosive grenades. You'll notice that I'm not using multi-shot. That's because I already have +2 projectiles, one from the Deadeye Ascendancy and one from my crossbow. After running hundreds of maps, I honestly don't feel that multi-shot is necessary. I already have +1 projectile from Deadeye and another +1 from my siege crossbow. 3 grenades don't really feel much different from 5 while mapping, and multi-shot also lowers your damage by 25%. For me, it's just not worth the damage loss. I'm using efficiency instead to help solve the mana issue. As you can see, my explosive grenade is level 28, and the mana cost difference is quite significant, around 120 versus 200 mana per use. After testing, I believe a combination of the unique mana flask, mana leech on a ring or gloves, a 2% mana on kill jewel, and the efficiency support gem is a viable solution for mapping. That said, if you're comfortable using a mana flask or simply want more damage, efficiency can be replaced with fire mastery or another damage support gem. Another important thing to note is that if you don't have Rakiata's flow for explosive grenades, you can replace it with fire penetration instead. As for gameplay, mapping is very straightforward. I mostly use flash grenade and explosive grenades. Cluster grenades are also great, since they can cover a huge area. For bossing, I start by stacking up to 6 Stormblast bolts on the ground, then throw oil grenade and gas grenade before detonating everything with explosive grenades. If everything lands correctly, the damage is extremely high. Keep in mind that using different grenades also grants additional damage, and you should continue firing while moving whenever possible, as it also grants more damage. For the Deadeye Mirage, I'm also using explosive grenades for additional damage. For jewels, I'm using Against the Darkness for additional damage, a decent Heart of the Well with movement speed and damage, a Prism of Belief with +2 to explosive grenades, and Sapphire Jewels with life and mana on kill, elemental damage, and a large amount of energy shield. The price of Against the Darkness is pretty high right now. As an alternative, a good Emerald Jewel with crossbow damage and projectile damage will do. They added quality to jewels in 0.5, which helps a little. I'll keep everything updated on the website. At last, let's talk about the downsides of the build. To be honest, I don't think Grenadier is among the strongest builds this season. First of all, you have to wait for your explosive grenades to detonate, which can make the gameplay feel a little clunky at times. There are also map modifiers that increase cooldowns, and those can have a noticeable impact if you haven't picked up the cooldown recovery nodes on the passive tree. Another downside is that boss damage can feel inconsistent at times. Missing a grenade rotation or failing to properly set up Stormblast bolts, oil grenade, and gas grenade can result in a significant damage loss. That being said, the build is still capable of clearing all endgame content, has decent survivability, and remains one of the most enjoyable builds I've played in PoE 2. If you're looking for the absolute strongest meta build, this probably isn't it. But if you enjoy the grenade playstyle, it's definitely worth giving a try. I'll keep the build updated on the website. There will also be a live gear and budget version, along with written guides and trade links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there!